Hello, buddy. Welcome back to Tin Man's Corner Channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor, and today I thought I'd get on here and do another ranking video with knives in it. I liked how I did the Rambo ranking knives video, so I figured I'd do another one. But this time, I'm ranking one of my favorite knife makers of all time's blades, and that is Gil Hibben. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm only doing 10 of his known knife designs, and I'm not going to be including every single one that he did from like the 70s, 80s all the way up to now. So I pretty much picked out the ones that he made during modern times here, and they're also being reproduced through United Cutlery. So if I not include a Gil Hibben design that you like, I am sorry. Don't get mad at me. I just didn't even know about it. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to rank number 10 being my least favorite to 1 being my all-time favorite Gil Hibben knife design. So without further ado, I'm going to turn these lights off, move the camera up here to the computer for you guys, and I'll show you which one is at my number 10 spot. And coming in at number 10 is the Assault Tactical Knife. Don't get me wrong, I do like this knife, but this is just one of the knives that looks like a combination of a hunter's knife that you would probably find in like a hunter supply store, and it kind of looks like a cheaper alternative to the hard stopper that was in Rambo 5. I'm not bashing Gil's design choices on that. And plus, I think Legionnaire Bowie might have looked at this and kind of got inspiration details for his hard stopper Sub-Hilt fighter knife. At least that's what my friend Cowboy C-Bob over at the KTV Knife Television channel said. But we'll never know. It's a cool blade, and I wished I had one in my collection, that's for sure. And plus, it's a simple knife design for you to just carry camping with you. And my number 9 spot is filled with the Gil Hibben Legionnaire Bowie. Now, I actually have this Bowie knife, so if you haven't seen the video, I'll leave a link to this knife review. But this knife was used in Expendables 2, so that's why I like it, because it's a movie-related knife. But not used by Sylvester Stallone. I think it was used by one of the villains. Cool looking knife, but the only thing that was weird to me was the blade shape almost looks like a harpoon. But hey, it ain't a bad design for a movie knife. That's all I gotta say about this one. Coming in at number 8 is the old West Bowie knife. I actually got this knife in my collection, and I reviewed it as well. I love it. I could have had it lower on my list because technically it's already a known knife design, and it's been copied many times by other knife makers, but Gil's looks incredible for some odd reason, because one, he did not make the knife handle curve upward like my friend Donnie Day mentioned in one of his videos, like an Arabian sword, and Gil put a nice brass iron handle guards on it. Really makes this thing pop. And plus, with him adding the bloodwood handle on it, really does look like a Bowie knife out of the Old West. Now, I saw Gil Hibben did another version that has a Damascus steel blade and the handle was black. I said I wouldn't mind having that one in my collection as well. But you never know what the future will hold, right? But I just dig it because it looks like an Old West Bowie knife that a cowboy or an outlaw would be carrying. All right, coming in my number 7 spot is the Tundra Toothpick. Now, Gil released this knife with United Cutlery under his Tundra series, and the first knife he came out with was called the Tundra, and it had a handle similar to this, but the blade was stopped about right here, and it was a tad bit fatter than this one. And this is supposed to be like a toothpick design, which I kind of dig this one over the other one that he made with that series. And I saw my friend Cowboy C-Bob from the KTV Knife Television channel review it, and I said, man, that's definitely going on my knife bucket list. Because I can imagine what type of test I would do with this blade. But I'm definitely not going to be doing no heavy chopping with something like this, because it was not designed for that. My number 6 pick is Gil Hibben's prototype for Rambo 4. I already mentioned it about why I liked it in the Rambo knife ranking video, but really it's a cool machete design that Gil came up with. And plus he wanted to continue the whole design elements from the Rambo 3 Bowie knife. Stallone said nope, he wanted something more brutal looking. So Gil had to go back to the drawing board because Sly did make a very good point that if he's in the jungles of Thailand, he will not have the right materials to make something like this in a hurry. And this one looks way too machined out and polished looking. But it's still a cool machete blade design. But I saw that United Cutlery was releasing it, and I said, heck, I wouldn't mind having one in my collection. Talk about a bad to the bone looking blade. Okay, speaking of blades that was not used in a film is this one, the Gil Hibben Arizona Bowie. I heard from my friend Cowboy C-Bob that Gil designed it in intents of purposes to be used in Rambo 5 Last Blood, but Stallone, again, didn't want it. He wanted something of knife making of the future, so that's why he turned over to Dietmar Pohl with his MKA Bowie knife and Heartstopper. But they said if you pause the movie at that scene where Rambo's in his forging area of the tunnel system he built, you look on the wall, there's a bunch of knives hanging up already finished, and I believe it's one of those knives that is hanging up. I have not seen Expendables 4 yet, so I don't know if this knife ended up being used in that film. But you never know, if they did a Rambo 6 with Sly, he might end up using that knife. Or it might get used in another movie, hopefully. But it's a cool, simple Bowie knife design. And I could see like a gambler from the Old West using one like this. But I wouldn't mind having one of these in my collection to review as well. Coming in at number 4 is the Sub-Hilt Toothpick knife. I saw this one released on the Bud K website. I was over the moon. I even saw one of my other knife collective friends on YouTube, Donovan 2, owning one. But he's got the black handled version, and this one is the Bloodwood edition, which, to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind having both versions, but if I only had to pick one, I would go with this one. Because most of Gil Hibben's knives have black handles on them, and I would try to switch it up. And he did. I even saw the Magnum Bowie, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on this list. Got re-released with the Bloodwood handle. But it's a cool looking knife. You took the Sub-Hilt fighter knife concept and merged it with a toothpick knife design. And boom, you got this. It's sleek, but also tactical looking. Coming in at number 3 is the Rambo 4 Bowie machete. Now, you probably saw it coming since I included the combat machete on this list as well. But like I said with that one, and in the Rambo knife ranking video, Stallone turned down the other one, and he said make something brutal. And this is what Gil came up with. Now, I did not look it up, but Gil made another prototype that was more like a Chinese war sword type blade. It looks similar to this, but the handle actually had a grip on it. It was not wrapped around with goat skin wrapped like this one. It actually had a handle with pins in it, but Stallone did not like that one either, and he just went with this one. It was more subtle looking. And plus, he was going to be forging it out in the blacksmith shop, and he wouldn't have time to make a fancy handle and guard for it and polish the blade out. This is something quick and on the go. And Gil definitely delivered on what Stallone wanted and created another iconic movie blade. Coming in at number 2 is the Rambo 3 Bowie knife. I had to include it on this list as well because I really love this knife. The fact that Gil Hibben designed it is really cool, because Jimmy Lyle was supposed to make the Rambo 3 knife, but he backed out and Stallone wanted something new. And Gil first came up with that rescue knife that had a green wrapped handle and serrated edges on it. And Stallone said, nope, done that. He wanted something different. And Gil was known for designing fantasy blades. So he came up with this one. And the reason why I had the slot in it was because it was going to have like a knife that folded out, kind of like one of Batman's batarangs. But Stallone said, nope, he don't want that. Scrap it. But luckily, Hibben made a bunch of these without the blade. And they just ended up using that one in the movie. And this one got the name the Baker Tribute Knife because of the notches that he put on there. They're all supposed to represent the members of his Baker team that passed away. So in other words, they're still fighting alongside with him, but in spirit and memory. And my friend Cowboy C-Bob said he watched that movie when he was in the Navy. And he said there ain't no way they're going to make replicas of this knife. And long and behold, they did. And United Cutlery is still producing them. Now, I think the first run they did was more smaller than the actual movie size one. And Master Cutlery came up with their version, but it was a tad bit longer towards the tip. United Cutlery and Gil Hibben just released a new version that's to scale with the actual movie one. I said, thank you. If I want the Rambo 3 knife, I'll get that full-size version instead of the small one or the one that Master Cutlery did, because they're way off the specs. Still a cool knife and a epic blade in movie history. And the blade that I think is the coolest out of the other ones I just mentioned, or any other of Gil Hibben's designs, is this one. And I actually have one. It's the Magnum Bowie. I'm glad that Gil came up with this design, because basically what I'm seeing here is the blade looks similar to the Rambo 3 Bowie, but it's a tad bit thinner. And he had a different spine tooling on it. But the handle does not have standard pins in it. It's got mosaic pins and a cool looking handguard. And I said it in my video, me reviewing this knife, and I'll say it again. If I was cast to be a tough biker dude in a movie, I would definitely suggest talking to the director or producer and prop master about using one of these bad boys right here, because I could definitely intimidate somebody with that. But to me, it just reminds me a lot of Michael Myers' Bowie knife from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. They got similar design elements, but that one was way bigger than this one. But I just love it because of that fact, but it just looked like a old West Bowie knife of the future, let's put it that way. I was lucky to buy one from my friend and fellow knife collector on YouTube, Donnie B. All Day. And now they got a new version on Bug K and some other places that are licensed to sell Gil Hibben's knives. And it's the Bloodwood edition version. And I wouldn't mind having that one too to go with the other one I got. But you know, it would be nice to save up my money and go directly to Gil Hibben himself and ask him, can he make me one of these but with a different color handle, like maybe blue? Just so I say I have one made by the man himself, but also he customized it for me. That would be amazing. Well, okay, I hope you guys enjoy my ranking of my top 10 favorite Gil Hibben knives. And let me know down in the comments, how would you rank these knives, or you have others that you like of his. And I'm going to leave in the description below my reviews of the Magnum, Old West Bowie, and Legionnaire. And I'm also going to leave links for websites that are carrying Gil Hibben authorized knives. This has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Score channel. I'm your host, Jeffrey Tin Man Taylor. I say that's a wrap. Have a nice day, y'all.